Welcome to All Things Greater Burlington, where you will hear from the movers, shakers, and changemakers that are moving Greater Burlington forward. Here is your host, Stephen Brody.
Welcome to All Things Greater Burlington. It's a pleasure to have with me today Joshua Ragar. Josh is the business banking relationship manager at U.S. Bank here in the Burlington area, and it's going to be a great conversation. We're going to be talking about banking, but then hang on, because then we're going to be sharing something that you may not know about Josh's past, but I think will be of great interest. So, Josh, thanks so much for coming in today.
Well, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Why don't we talk about your role? You're the business banking relationship manager. That's a mouthful.
Yes, it is. It's quite a bit to get out, but it's pretty simplistic. I take care of businesses and all of their needs, from lending and borrowing to anything else that could come along in their daily operations.
Yeah, and there's a lot of banks that are here in town. Obviously, U.S. Bank does have a big reputation. It is known nationwide.
Yes.
So I guess talk about U.S. Bank.
So we are technically a regional bank. We're larger. But my perspective is we have a very hometown feel. We've been in Burlington in some semblance or fashion for couple different decades. So we've got a real good following. We've got a great wealth division. And I started there about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
And have just kind of been ramping up since.
Yeah. Are you a native of Burlington?
I'm not, but I am from just across the river in Illinois.
Okay.
Born and raised in Stronghurst, but grew up quite a bit here, as it is the closest metropolitan area from where I grew up.
Sure. Did the job bring you here, or was there any other factors that brought you to the Burlington area?
I live just south of town, about 20 minutes in small West Point, Iowa. My wife works here at the hospital, so we're very familiar with the area. My kids play sports and do activities up here in the area quite frequently, so we're very frequent flyers here in town.
Well, and I will say, Josh, I really appreciate how you have connected not only with the community, but with the Greater Burlington Partnership as well. You are one of our chamber ambassadors, and so you have represented well at our functions. And so why do that? Why step out and involve yourself in other community activities?
I'm a very social person by nature, but mostly I want to be visible in the community, somebody that's active and involved, and I wanted to bring that visibility to U.S. Bank again. There was a little bit of a gap in my role prior to my arrival, and so just bringing that visibility of U.S. Bank and our business banking solutions back to the Burlington and greater surrounding markets.
How much time would you say that you spend in your office versus going out and meeting with clients?
Well, we have kind of a rubric of our day in the life of a business banker with U.S. Bank. And I typically try not to be in the office physically more than probably 20% of my day. I enjoy getting out, going and visiting business owners and different places within the community, just to get a better feel of what they're doing and if there's any way that we can partner with them to better help their operations.
And I would think that most businesses would appreciate that you're coming to them.
Correct. And that's most business people, their time is very precious as it is. So stopping what they're doing, leaving their place of employment, their business, and then coming to me, it's quite a commitment. So I think my preference is to go visit them. They're a lot more comfortable in their environment, and it gives them a little more sense of security.
Yeah.
And then they tend to be more open about what they're doing. And honestly, a lot of times they get pretty pretty open about and excited about showing me what they're doing and what's to come. And
Sure.
so
What does U.S. Bank bring to the table? What does Josh Ragar bring to the table when you when you're going out there and visiting?
From a business banking perspective, U.S. Bank is one of the best in the industry, from our accounts to our business solutions. We've got great lending. We've got great business credit cards. We own our own processor. So a lot of merchants tend to go with us just because it is such a quick turnaround on settlements. And we just have the full deck of cards when it comes to business solutions. As for me personally, like I said earlier, I'm a very social person. I'll talk all day about anything and everything. So,
is there anything that stands out when you're visiting businesses that they seem to be in need of more than others? I don't know if that's a fair question to ask, but in your line of work, when you're going out and you're visiting with banks and or with businesses and with customers, are they all saying, man, this is something that we really need? This is something that we really could use help with?
Not so much a singular solution, but as a general rule of thumb, my role is to get them paid quicker, and so they can hold on to their cash a little longer too, just to maximize that cash flow. Mm-hmm. Everybody wants to get paid, so the quicker that they can get paid, and then the longer that they can hold on to it before they've got to pay their suppliers, their vendors, just makes their life a lot easier. And then with all of our online solutions, it makes it a lot easier to do it quicker.
I have to ask the obvious question. I don't know when this show is going to air, but there's some volatility in the banking industry right now. We've obviously seen some banks fail, and there's probably others that might be in a precarious situation. Is there anything that you can share at this time about what you're hearing maybe in the industry?
From an industry perspective, I think regional banks have kind of taken a little bit of a hit just because of the uncertainty with inflation and interest rates. One thing I will say about U.S. Bank is we are very conservative by nature. We're well diversified, as are many others in that same segment. The ones that have failed recently, they were very concentrated in certain areas, certain very risky ventures. And then I think that's kind of what bit them. I'd like to think we're here in the Midwest mainly, with our headquarters being in Minneapolis, St. Paul. Very Midwestern, hardworking.
Yeah. And are you FDIC insured just like
Yes.
many of the banks?
Yes.
And so that insures up to how much?
$250,000 is our FDIC limit.
Yeah.
There has been some talk recently about modifying that across the industry, but that hasn't come through yet. What we have quite a few avenues for those companies that do exceed that limit, that threshold. We do have some vehicles that we can farm out those dollars to maintain the insurability of them.
Yeah. And then economically, if there are businesses that are wanting to get started, are you a good source for businesses to come to seek maybe business loans or any other type of support?
We are. We've got a great relationship with Small Business Authority. We just ironically had a meeting with our contacts this morning about some of the changes coming to U.S. Bank and our relationship with the SBA, and all positive. So we would be a great place to start and would love an opportunity to visit.
So if people want to get a hold of you specifically, Josh, how would they do that? How would they get a hold of you in U.S. Bank?
Here in Burlington, our office is at 808 South Roosevelt. connect with me anytime there in person or give me a call directly, 753-8777. Lucky sevens. So,
does U.S. Bank have a local website, or is it just like a big website?
It's the generalUSbank.com.
Okay.
So, but then you can put in your zip code and find the nearest locations.
Excellent. Well, this is a perfect time to transition into the other part of what we wanted to share. And Josh and I met for lunch some time ago, and I don't know how it came up in conversation, but he shared with me that in his previous life, he was and I'm going to say it, a professional baseball player.
That is correct.
And that just perked my ears up because I love baseball and I love minor league baseball. And you were telling me stories about life in the minor leagues.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought it would be wonderful to bring you in and share a little bit about that. So tell me where it started. I would imagine you started in college and then go from there.
Oh, it started way before college.
Oh, probably you're going to say Little League, right?
Yeah. But I actually, honestly, and very ironically, it started when I was about 7 or 8 years old. I came to a Christmas baseball camp at Southeastern Community College run by Coach Lonnie Winston. And at the time, he brought in 2, 3, 4 different regional scouts from different organizations throughout the Midwest and Major League Baseball. He had plenty of contacts, and very fortunately for me, a guy that came every year from the New York Mets struck up a relationship with him, and fast forward about 10, 12 years, graduating college, went to a workout. He was with the Braves at the time. Everything went great. They were just very heavy at the position I played, which was a catcher.
Okay.
And ironically, their first pick that year in the draft was a guy by the name of Jason Hayward.
Heard the name.
He had quite a good career with the Braves and the Cubs, and
I think he's with the Dodgers.
He's with the Dodgers now. So, but he actually had a buddy that year who had worked for the Tampa Bay Rays and had gotten actually out of scouting and gotten into coaching an independent professional team in Pensacola, Florida.
Okay.
In his hometown. And so he told me, he said, I can't guarantee anything other than an invite to spring training. You take care of the rest. So I went down in April of 2007 and spent the summer of 2007 in beautiful Pensacola, Florida, playing baseball. And
what was the name of the team?
We were the Pensacola Pelicans.
And in what league?
We played then. They played in the American Association.
Okay.
So there were a couple divisions, the North and the South. We spent the majority of our season traveling across Louisiana and into Texas and playing 5 or 6 teams across those couple states. And then we did take a northern swing up to St. Paul, Minnesota.
Wow.
Through played in Sioux City, Iowa against the Explorers, and then back down through St. Joe's, Missouri. So
no kidding. And American Association, is it still considered like at the AA level of baseball? Single A, double A, triple A?
Yeah, it's about it's a AA equivalent probably.
Yeah.
The leagues have kind of gone through a consolidation over the years. There are a number of additional teams in there now, but and actually Pensacola no longer is in that league, as they are the AA affiliate for the Cincinnati Reds now.
I see. Okay. But the Pensacola team exists still.
Yes, they are now called the Blue Wahoos.
Ooh, don't you love minor league baseball, the names? I just love this. It doesn't matter what league it is. Whoever comes up with these names, I love it.
Yep.
So,
they are.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you brought up, because when you first said like at 7 and 8 years old, I'm thinking, Josh, really? You were a phenom at 7 and 8 and you were getting drafted?
No, not at all.
Come on. All right. So you make it out, you get invited to spring training. So you got to make your way out to spring training. Mm-hmm. And so what is that like? What is that experience like, going to spring training to a major league team?
It was pretty interesting, quite scary for a kid from a town of 800 in West Central Illinois. But I went down to Florida and spent the first couple weeks just kind of playing ball. It was a lot of kids' dreams of you get up in the morning, you go to the ballpark, and you play ball all day. And
do you remember what your uniform number was that you were given when you got to spring training? Were you like number 86, 87?
No, I don't. I do remember the jersey number I had when we got to our team was my lifelong number of number 9. So I was very excited about that.
Nice, nice. Did they have your name on the jersey or
no?
Not even that.
No.
Okay. So then, while you're at spring training, then what kind of accommodations did you have? Were you in a hotel? Were you in a host family? How'd that work?
During spring training, I spent in a hotel, a Ramada Inn in Pensacola, Florida, ironically. And then
was that on your dime? Did you have to pay for that?
No, the organization picked that up.
Okay.
And then once I made the club out of spring training, I was put with a host family. So it was pretty nice. It was actually pretty cool because they had a couple of young boys that just idolized the players and the team itself.
Yeah.
And so it was a pretty good experience for them.
Josh, what is it like? I don't know if you may or may not be able to remember the actual conversation, but what is it like when you get called in by whoever it was and say, we want to keep you, we're going to send you such and such? You know, what is that experience like?
It's pretty unbelievable for a kid who's dreamt about it for the majority of his life. And it actually was after one of our workouts and had a good inter-squad scrimmage. And as we were going back into the clubhouse, the manager called me over and he said, "Hey, I hit the shower," and he goes, "I need to see you in my office in about a half hour." Not knowing whether that was going to be a good thing or a bad thing. That was a nervous 30 minutes, but I did walk in and he said, "Hey, congratulations, you're going to be our number 2 catcher this year, and we'd like to offer you a contract."
So the number two catcher, this was in Pensacola?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're going to offer you a contract, and you're probably just going,
Yeah, basically. I think my hand was shaking as I signed it. But,
yeah. How soon afterwards do they get you the paperwork to sign? I mean, I can't imagine they have it right there ready for you.
No, it was the next day or so.
Yeah.
That was 15, 16 years ago.
Yeah.
I would think now it's pretty expeditious with all the technology, but back in 2007, they drew up a paper contract, and honestly, I think I signed it either in his office or in the dugout the next morning. So.
Yeah, and I won't ask you what you got paid. That's too personal. But how do you get paid? How do players get paid? Is it weekly? Is it monthly? How does that work out?
Back when I was playing, we got paid monthly.
Okay.
We did get, when we would go on road trips, we would get a stipend, a daily per diem, and a lot of times that was enough to get you through your road trip.
And they give you cash?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Who doles that out? Is there like a clubhouse manager, someone who does that?
We had a director of operations that worked with our manager and one of the bench coaches, and you'd get on the bus and they'd hand you your envelope and here's your per diem for the next 7 days while you're on the road trip to El Paso, Texas. And so
do they send you, or do they provide you with recommended places? Like, when we get to El Paso, these are like the restaurants we think you should go to.
The league that we played in, everybody had partnerships, sponsorships, everything. So we always stayed at pretty, actually, I look back and I feel very fortunate. We stayed at some pretty nice hotels, not upscale, but very middle of the road. The one that I remember the most was in Fort Worth, Texas. We stayed at a beautiful hotel right at the Fort Worth Stockyards and had barbecue every day when you could. So
Oh, the life, huh?
It was. I tell people it was a dream come true. You get up in the morning, you go to, for me, I went to the gym. I came back home, had a little bit of personal time. I was at the field by 12:30, 1 o'clock doing early work and, getting swings in, getting stretched and warm. And by 6 o'clock, we were playing baseball. And the perk of being in Pensacola, Florida is you're right on the Gulf.
Yeah. So
after the ball game, we'd make our way down to the establishments on the boardwalk, and so it was once in a lifetime experience, and I can't express enough how fortunate I feel.
Do you remember back then if they do what they do now in terms of taking taxes out like from each state that you play in? That was something that I learned that happens like nowadays. And to me, you got to be an amazing accountant to have to keep track of all of that. I mean, was that just over your head, or do you remember
it was,
anything like that?
And honestly, we didn't make enough for it to really matter a whole lot. But back then we got a check at the end of each month, and so it was beyond my scope at the time.
And when you were getting those checks, was it enough to put in the bank that you were able to bank that?
With the host family accommodations and being conservative by nature, my host family was excellent. I can't speak highly enough about that.
Yeah,
but they had breakfast every morning. They, lunch at the ballpark or at one of our sponsor partners. You just show them your ID and you got, a discount at Fazoli's or Subway or whatever.
Oh, nice.
And then dinner was always at the clubhouse after the ball game. So,
did your host family give you a key, or did they have to wait up for you to get back?
No, I was given access. I had a key or a code to the garage, and we'd come in after a long road trip at middle of the night, wee hours of the morning, and just let yourself in and head right to your room. And it was a pretty nice setup. Room and a bathroom. And
I have to ask, what was it like when you were asked for your autograph for the first time?
It was quite humbling. One thing about that summer in Pensacola, the owner was a very big community-minded gentleman and his wife.
Yeah.
And one of their requisites was after each game, whether win or lose, we stood on the third base line and the community could come out to us and we would sign for probably 15, 20 minutes.
Sure.
So, but it was quite humbling to.
You must have thought, I've arrived now.
I don't know.
You haven't gone on eBay, huh, to see what your autograph goes for?
Ironically, that's funny because here not too long ago, a buddy of mine from college that played baseball with me sent me a picture. I don't know what he was looking for on eBay, but somehow he found my baseball card from the summer of 07.
You're kidding.
It was only worth $9.99. So
yeah, but still, did you buy it?
I didn't. I have enough. My folks kept quite a bit of memorabilia from that summer, and so they've got quite a bit.
You
themselves.
could have upped it. You could have upped the price a little.
Yeah,
bit.
it was a buy now. It wasn't an auction format.
Wow. Well, I remember going to games, and that's one thing that, of course, all kids love, and my oldest son loves, is trying to get autographs and waiting there at the end of the game and getting everybody to sign it. Now, how legible was your signature?
Mine was very legible. Both my parents are educators.
Okay.
So from the time I could write, I was preached penmanship. So mine always was very legible.
I have to say, I mean, I've got baseballs that are signed. These guys, hopefully they became doctors and lawyers because of that type of signature. I have no idea who they are. Mm-hmm. For all I know, they could be a Hall of Famer now. And I have no idea because I'll look at it and go, man, I just can't figure that out.
No, mine was always very legible. And I made the mistake the first night out of signing what they call the belly of the ball, which is actually reserved for the manager or a higher ranking person than a rookie.
There's a pecking order.
There is a pecking order on where you can and cannot sign on a baseball.
Oh, see, I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And did you get a slap on the wrist for that?
Oh, I got a nominal fine in our
an actual fine.
Well, not from the team, but from our internal organization of guys.
Yeah.
So the rookie had to pay a few bucks to.
Did you guys ever do like those kangaroo courts?
That
was it?
Yep, that was it.
Okay.
So I didn't know if anybody would get the reference. So yeah, kangaroo court. We'd always they'd put your transgression in there and pull it out, and you'd have to pay a few bucks to absolve yourself of your sins.
Yeah, and then you were fine.
Yep,
you were fine
until the next month,
until the next infraction.
Yep.
So, how long were you with Pensacola?
I was with Pensacola just for the summer of 2007.
Okay.
I was actually headed back down in 2008 and got the call that I'd been released.
Oh.
So came back home, and
now, was that in person or not?
It was over the phone.
Okay.
I was actually, fortunately, I was leaving the next morning, and I was packed up, pick up, and everything was ready to go.
Yeah.
And got a call that I'd been released. So kind of regrouped and ended up taking some time to myself, and then went to a private workout with a team up in Joliet, Illinois.
Okay.
And made that club and played with them for about 3 months, April, May, and June, and then had the opportunity to go back down to Pensacola. I'd gotten released from Joliet, and then had the opportunity to go back down to Pensacola, but passed it up just to kind of move on.
When you got released from Joliet, did they give you a reason? Was there somebody else that they were wanting, or were things just not working out stat-wise?
Things just weren't working out as a club. It was kind of a mass exodus. They cut quite a few of us and brought some new guys in, and so
yeah.
But my claim to fame from that summer was my manager was none other than Wally Backman.
Wally Backman, who played for the Mets.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. World Series winning second baseman for the New York Mets.
Yeah. Did he have good words of wisdom that he would?
He didn't. He had a lot of words.
He did.
Some of them not so polite, but he was a great guy to work for. A true baseball guy.
Yeah.
But it was an experience.
Joliet. Now, what league was that? Was that Frontier League? Or
that was the Northern League at the time.
Okay.
So it was teams like Joliet, Gary, Indiana. There was a team in Kansas City. There were a number of other ones I can't recall.
So I know Kansas City has the T-Bones.
That's them.
Is that them?
Yep. They were in the Northern League at the time.
Yeah. They might be American Association.
See,
now.
I think through some of the realignment and everything, that I think maybe the Northern League and the American Association maybe kind of merged, and
yeah. Well, I have to think, and again, I don't want to put words in your mouth. I mean, it obviously didn't work out as a career for you, but it has to be an experience that you just treasure.
Oh, I do. It's I tell people to this day that summer of 2007 was one of the best of my life, if not the best. I said it before, but a dream come true. You get up, you go to the ballpark, you get paid to play baseball. Can't ask for much more at the age of 22.
So if anybody wants to see about your baseball experience, what do you still have from it that you can show people? Do you have uniforms? Do you have hats or anything?
I've got some hats. I've got my folks might have a uniform or at least a jersey at their house. I've got a gear bag, a few T-shirts here and there, but not a whole lot. So,
but something that you would obviously recommend if somebody wants to pursue that, then by all means they should go
follow it as long as you can.
Yeah. And then I know we're just about out of time. Was banking something that you had an interest in, or was it something that you just kind of ended up in?
I just kind of ended up in it. I graduated in 2006 with a double major in business and accounting. worked in public accounting in the off season for a little bit. Just didn't really fit kind of what I was going after, what I was comfortable with. And ironically, through some contacts of mine and my wife's and her mother, I got my first banking job right before we got married in 2009.
Well, Josh, it is great to have you here today. It's great to have you in Burlington, and appreciate everything that you're doing in the community. And thank you so much for sharing your stories about being a boy of summer.
I appreciate the opportunity. I always love talking about it.
Well, and I always love the opportunity to hear about sports and baseball. And so it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for listening in. We appreciate you being a subscriber. If you would like and follow our program, that would be great. And give us a call at the Greater Burlington Partnership if you have someone in mind that you would like us to interview. Until next time, have a great day, and we'll see you again on All Things Greater Burlington.
Have been listening to All Things Greater Burlington with Stephen Brody. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to catch all new episodes. To learn more about All Things Greater Burlington, visit greaterburlington.com/ATGB.